so much for that kind introduction, Ms. Heumann. And thank you, Principal Johnson, Assistant Principal Heumann, for inviting me to be your keynote speaker. And thank you, scholars and your parents and faculty for being here and being part of this amazing day. I hope all of you can hear me. I know the microphone is a little bit low, but I'm going to try to speak up and lean in. So the past year has been really tough, right, for everybody, including Girls Rule the Law. We couldn't come in and see the students' beautiful faces as we were doing mock trial with them for the past couple of years, so we had to go virtual. And this year we did a debate program, which we did virtually again twice a year, and it was great. It finished off last week. But one of the silver linings of the pandemic and the past year is that we had to think about other things that we can do to provide value to our students and the people that we partner with. And one of those things that we did was that we reached out to a whole bunch of professionals in the legal field and outside of the legal field and gave them what we call the time machine question. And the time machine question is, if you could go back with all the knowledge that you have now as a grown-up and give a piece of advice to your 13 or 14-year-old self, which is what the age of our scholars is, what advice would that be? And we got a whole bunch of advice. We got 13 themes in general, which I'm not going to go through because we would be here the whole day. But there were the top 3 that kept coming up over and over and over again, which is what I'm going to share with you. So the first piece of advice that came up is that we need to think big and dream bigger. I'm going to repeat that. We need to think big and dream bigger. And for a lot of you, at 13 and 14 years old, when Mr. Johnson, Principal Johnson comes up, or when other people come up and say, you can be whatever you want to be, you kind of roll your eyes, right? And you say to yourself, okay, fine, you know, I'm not going to be Superman, I'm not going to be the President of the United States, so what are you talking about? Stop lying. Now, everybody's dream is different, right? So for me, I was born in Honduras into what people can only describe as poverty. I didn't have shoes. There were days that my parents were here in the United States and they were undocumented. So we were, a whole bunch of us, 20 of us lived with my grandmother in Honduras in a hut. And there were days that we did not have food to eat. My grandmother would water down coffee and put some cornflakes in there, and that was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's how poor we were. And when we came to the United States, we were still poor. We lived in public housing, right, in the projects. And I remember lining up for government cheese, and government milk, and government cereal, because that's what we would eat. And I can guarantee you that no one going back in that time machine and looking at me in my village, starving, with no food, would say, yeah, that's a kid that's gonna go to the United States, is gonna finish law school, is gonna start her own company that helps kids that look like her. No one. And I can guarantee you that Oprah Winfrey would say the same thing. And I hope I'm not dating myself with Oprah Winfrey, that you know who that is. But Oprah grew up in the South, very poor as well. And she was abused. And when she went to college, she would find a way to go to college. She was told that she would never make it in journalism, that she was a dark-skinned black woman. Her nose was too wide. She was too big. And then no one would hire her as a journalist. And she said, watch me. And Oprah had a successful career for 25 years, hosting her own show on network television. And when she was done hosting her show for 25 years, she said, I'm gonna start my own network. And people said, you can't do that, it has never been done. And she said, watch me. And she's had her own network now for several years. She just recently interviewed Meghan Markle, right, the Duchess of Sussex. So no one can ever tell you what your dream should be, if your dream is too big, or if your thoughts are too big. So for you, I would say that first piece of advice is think big and dream bigger. The second piece of advice, and you've heard a little bit of it coming up here from people up here, and they've said, well, my mother would say, dime con quien tú andas y te diré quién eres, which means that water rises to its own level. Whoever you hang out with, that's who you will be. Show me your friends and I will show you who you are. Water rises to its own level. If you're hanging out with garbage people, you will become a garbage person. If you hang out with people who are ambitious, who want to do better, whatever better is, it doesn't have to be college. It could be working the best person, being your authentic self, working at a store, being a teacher, whatever it is that you want to be, an assistant teacher, anything you want to be, whatever your dream is. If you are a good person, you surround yourself with good people, that's what your experience will be. So that's the second piece of advice for you. Water rises to its own level. My third and last piece of advice is to find yourself an E.L.S.A. Yes, E.L.S.A, like in Frozen. E.L.S.A, E.L.S.A. Let me explain to you what the acronym E.L.S.A stands for. Your E.L.S.A is someone who encourages you, who energizes you. That when you tell them, I have this big dream, E.L.S.A will say, you can absolutely achieve this dream. I believe in you. The L in E.L.S.A is for loving. Your E.L.S.A loves you unconditionally. No matter how many times you fall down, no matter how many mistakes you make, your E.L.S.A is going to lift you up, brush you off, and push you back out there, because that's what they do. The S in E.L.S.A is for safe. You feel safe telling E.L.S.A your dream. E.L.S.A is not someone who is going to be jealous of you. It's not someone who is going to try to lead you astray. It is safe to share yourself authentically with your E.L.S.A. And the last A is for affirming. Your E.L.S.A is affirming. She tells you that you can meet your dreams. She tells you that you can be the best person that you can be. And your E.L.S.A helps you in whatever way they can to make sure that you do meet those big dreams. Now, where did I get E.L.S.A from? Well, my oldest sister is E.L.S.A. And that first step, remember that first step I told you about dreaming big, about thinking big and dreaming bigger? My sister, my oldest sister, E.L.S.A, was the first one in our family to make that dream come true of going to college. My father was a mechanic, my mother was a cleaning lady. Like I said, we were poor, we were barely making it. And my father was too embarrassed to say, I cannot help you pay for college. If you want to go to college, you got to do it on your own. And if you can't go to college, if you can't find a way to do it, then go get a job. Go get a city job, go work at a store, do whatever you have to do to start bringing money into the household. And E.L.S.A had this big thought, and she said, I want to go to college and I want to be a teacher. And she found a guidance counselor who believed in that. She found an E.L.S.A who told her, we're going to find a way for you to go to college with no money. And that way was the Higher Education Opportunity Program. It's an affirmative action program that provides kids with an opportunity to get a higher education, a college education, if you have no money. If you are a poor kid, if you're underrepresented, if you're underprivileged. And E.L.S.A was able to go to college at NYU. She was able to get her master's degree from NYU. And E.L.S.A is my big sister. She's a 6th grade teacher here. Ms. Martinez for you. And is that if you find your E.L.S.A, then you also want to be an E.L.S.A. And that's part of what Girls Rule the Law is. That's what the partnership here is with the school. Just like I was able to find someone who believed in me unconditionally, who loved me unconditionally, I want to give that to the kids here at this school and other schools. I want to be an E.L.S.A to other kids. So to the scholars here, once you find yourself an E.L.S.A, make sure that you become an E.L.S.A and be your authentic, wonderful, happy selves. Thank you for having me.
Miss Martinez, the reading teacher from 6th grade. Remember Miss Martinez from 6th grade? Miss Martinez from 6th grade? That's it.
Thank you.